I am so excited to be here with someone who I met not too long ago, Jeff Ryan. I met Jeff at this incredible event that Amber Vilhauer put together, a books and business event. And I remember meeting you, Jeff, and it was like, it's kind of like love at first sight in a way.
Yeah, I felt the same. Absolutely.
It was totally like, okay, not only are we here with like passion for what we do, but also, like we just said before we got on, we have this beautiful connection of movement
Right.
and how it's really assisted us both in our life, which is actually a beautiful place to start. I want to just tell our listeners and anyone that's watching, this is wisdom from within. And I'm here every single Wednesday, either solo or bringing in guests. And so this week we're with Jeff and continuing that conversation of the importance of wisdom from within and how do we connect to that and how does this inner wisdom serve us and why is it important to follow it and to listen and how do we listen, right? This conversation is massive and every week we're going to come at it through a different lens, a different perspective. And this week we're going to talk to Jeff now about his story and really focusing on sort of his own inner wisdom and lack of early on, right? Like all of us, we get disconnected from that wisdom, that disconnection and reconnection and how it has served you. The last thing before we jump in and you start sharing, Jeff and I are a part of a beautiful experience with Amber Vilhauer, who's created this incredible book of stories of people. These are alignment stories. And I believe there's 12 of us, right, Jeff?
Yeah, there's 12 of us. And then Amber makes 13. But yeah, there's 12 of us. Yeah.
Right. And we all had this incredible opportunity and such an honor to be a part of this book, which is launching early September. And we all wrote a little bit about our alignment stories and and it really touches so deeply directly to the wisdom inside of our souls. So that's where we're going to start today. Jeff, oh my gosh, welcome. And thank you for writing your story so beautifully and vulnerably. And I'd love for you to just share, with this lens that we just kind of spoke about. Yeah.
Yeah. In my story, I share that my father came home from the Vietnam War, a completely different man. He was very much changed. And before he went, he was very loving, very generous, very kind. And after he came back, there was this distance. And it was a gulf that we really had trouble bridging, even up until the day, that he made his transition when he was 65. But he came back and there was just this distance. And there was a point where he said at dinner one night, I don't remember what I said. I was probably being a smart ass or something. I don't know. And he said, engage your brain before you engage your mouth. And I remember those words because they just hit me like a gut punch. And so then from that point on, I just started filtering because I wanted his approval so bad. I remembered, what my life was like or what our relationship was like before that. And so before he went to war, and I just wanted his approval so bad that, any kind of criticism, any kind of rejection, which is what I was experiencing in that moment, just became debilitating. And so I built a fortress around myself, building up walls to make sure that I didn't feel criticized. I didn't feel rejected. I tried to figure out the best way to encapsulate myself so that I would appear smart, or I would appear intelligent, or I would know what I'm talking about. And it ran my life for a very long time. That fear of criticism, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. And so it really got down,
I'm sorry, what was that? You really got
No,
what?
it really got pushed down.
Pushed
And
down.
so then it just became the operating system in the background where all my decisions about my life, from a young age, were being made through this. And so it really got pushed down. And the way I was thinking about things, the way I was approaching life was really, I wasn't living my fullest, authentic, fabulous self.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it was.
I'm curious about, wow. I mean, I just so feel that for you. And I'm wondering, so the intention for you was to, you wanted his approval so much. And so you started pushing things down to reach for that approval. Did you ever feel through sort of filtering yourself and trying to find that connection with him? Did you ever find it? And if so, did it ever feel good? Were there ever moments of, feeling that kind of connection that you were hoping for?
Yes, eventually. But I was a grown adult, having done my work to really experience. Once I realized that what I was craving from him was unconditional love, but I wasn't giving him unconditional love, that's when things shifted for me.
Oh, in that realization that you weren't
Realization.
giving him the thing that you actually were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then that shifted for me. And so then there was this huge weight lifted. And then as an adult, I was able to then begin having a relationship with him that was, it still was not perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but I was able to have a relationship with him in such a way that I felt good, and that I knew that I was loved unconditionally, and that I loved him unconditionally. So
Right. Before that connection with him came, when you were in that time of like listening with he said, not to listen, engage with your head, right? Not with your mouth. Right.
Yeah.
During that period of time when you did that, and that felt obviously bad in your body because you were just like shoving things down and not being your authentic, fabulous self. I'm curious about that. When you shut that down, what was happening in your body? And then how did your body eventually like come to speak to tell you there has to be another way?
Much like yourself, I found some release through dance. In university, I did jazz and modern, and then I eventually went on to become a body worker, massage therapist and craniosacral therapist. And so getting in touch with my body that way, there was a lot of trauma release and work with through body work, and getting in touch with my feelings that way. And there was always a part of me, like you say, the answer is within. And I totally agree with that. The body remembers, the body knows. And so there is that infinite wisdom of our bodies that began. I really started paying attention to it in late 20s, early 30s, where when I was making a decision, there would just be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and just move forward with it. And trusting that gut instinct and trusting that something would lead me to where I wanted to go. So I've had several career changes, and each time it's been that inner listening. But I really focused on that inner listening through a practice called visioning, Michael Beckwith's life visioning technique, and really became super practiced in that and really attuned to listening. And much like you shared in your story about that moment where, there was a voice or there was a presence that was just like, this is your turning point. I had a similar thing happen with, I was sitting quietly and I heard a voice, like coming from over here. It was like, I'm calling you into service. And it was like so powerful that it woke me up right then. And I was just like, okay, we've got to, I've got to listen to this. And so that shifted. There was such a releasing in my body, and there was this full body emotional release,
Mm.
tears, crying, sobbing all the way home. I don't know how I drove home because I was sobbing, with tears, because I wasn't home at the time. And it was just from that point forward, really honing in and listening and trusting that voice, because I knew that voice was true, that voice was powerful, and that voice was coming from within.
Hmm. How did you hear the voice? Like you said, there was a presence behind you.
Uh-huh.
How else can you describe? Because I think for our listeners,
Yeah.
right, it's like people, and I face this all the time. It's like, oh my gosh, listening to the wisdom from within, that sounds amazing. How do I do that? Or what does it sound like? Or how do I even know that it's present? So
Yeah.
can you speak into that a little bit?
Yeah, that voice is always benevolent. It's not your inner critic. It's a benevolent voice. Sometimes it can be strong. Sometimes it can be forceful. I'm calling you to service. I go, okay, got it. But there is it's such a deep well of knowing. It's almost like a knowingness. There's a calmness that came over my body. There was just this this deep resonance within my body. Is another way of describing it. And a deep peace, a deep resonance that was just like, yeah, this is here, this is present. And so I listen now when that's present, or I've trained myself to go within, through meditation or the visioning practice, that I've trained myself so that even if I go to, like, an easy way to begin practicing is going to the end of the driveway, or, when you're stopped at a stoplight, and just checking in with yourself. Do I turn right or do I turn left today? And just follow it, follow that body awareness. It's like, oh, you're going to turn left today. Okay. And then go left versus going right. It's something that easy. Or even beginning with a menu, going to a restaurant and looking at a menu and reading the menu. Is like, okay, check in with your body, check in with that inner wisdom. What is my deep knowing wanting? How is it wanting to be nourished today? And asking that, and then making your selection from there, rather than, okay, I'm just going to have a burger and fries because we're at, Shake Shack or something. It's just like,
Right.
But asking.
I love that.
Asking. So.
I love that so much. And I guess what comes from that, which you've mentioned a few times already, is the trust. So you talked about hearing it, the wisdom, listening to it, and then trusting what it's saying. So go left. Okay, I'm just going to go left, and I'm not going to question it, right?
Right. And so then that builds that trust, especially when you're doing it on something so easy and minor, that when it's a major decision, when it's a life decision, when it's a career changing decision, or a relationship starting or a relationship ending decision, then you've already built the trust, right? So it's like, okay, is this next opportunity for me? Mm-hmm. And then you can feel it. It's like, yeah, it is, or no, it isn't. So like when you invited me to join here, it was like an instant, it was like, bam, yes. I mean, I didn't have to like, okay, what am I going to, it's just like, it was, right. I was able to trust. It was just like, Jen asked, I said yes, and it was from a place of deep knowing, not a place of like, oh yeah, I want to hang with my friend. Not that I don't want to hang with you, but I do. But that wasn't the deciding.
Yes. There is that distinction, right, between the head and the gut, and that determining, because I find a lot of people ask, well, I don't necessarily trust myself. How do I trust myself? How do I know when my brain is going versus my gut? And that a lot of people don't even know that there's a distinction. Okay. And I think that's the point, right? Where is that wisdom coming from, or that knowing? Is that your mind, like the monkey brain, or is it a gut knowing? And when I invited you, it was a gut knowing, not a head.
Yeah. Knowing. I teach in some of my classes that, there's that phrase, I know that I know that I know. And so I teach in my classes, and I teach a fourth. So it's I know, I have my head knowing that I know, I have my heart knowing, my emotional knowing, that I know that I have my gut knowing, my embodied knowing, right? And then there's the I know that's in the hands. because it's the I know that I know that I know that I know, meaning
Mm.
that it's so embodied, that we are so embodied that we are then able to empower others, that we're able to then take this deep knowing and share it with others, which is, what you do with your embody, empower, and elevate framework. Is that same idea of, it's like, first you got to be in your body. First we have to embody it ourselves before we can ever begin to share it with others and lift them and elevate them, empower them and elevate them into a new or a higher degree of living as well. So it's that same idea, even with the alignment, right? Getting into alignment. So much of the alignment process is really dropping out of our heads into that deeper wisdom, that body wisdom, our heart and gut wisdom, to identify who our ideal client is, to identify what our vision is. For me, it's accessible. For me, it is acceptance, inclusion, and belonging. And to identify the deeper need, that unmet need for me, which was wholeness. So to identify those things, it's coming, that wisdom is coming from within and trusting it and then embodying it so fully that then we can share it and we can live it out. We can help others with the process, which I know you do in your work as well, which is just so beautiful to witness, which is why I was like so excited when I witnessed your work and had the opportunity to benefit from it in two different sessions, so.
Yeah, I love all of that so much. The embodiment piece, we both know, and the listeners hopefully either know or getting to know how important that is to get it out of our head and into our body and then actually really embody it and move it forward. I want to go back to a couple of things that you mentioned. First, I want to go quickly. I think it would be really helpful to talk a bit about the visioning. You explained the process of some other things, which I so appreciated, because I think it's really helpful for everyone to have some really specific techniques that they can use to connect to the wisdom from within. Right. And you spoke about a couple of those specifically. The visioning, can you just talk about that for a minute?
Oh, I could talk about this forever, but yes.
We only have till 1:30.
I know. All right. So visioning is created by Michael Bernard Beckwith of Agape International Spiritual Center. He created this life visioning process. And what it is you enter into a quiet time of meditation, briefly meditation, connecting with that wisdom within, connecting with the oneness. And then followed by asking a series of questions. So like the first question, and the questions are pretty much the same throughout the visioning processes. You can do it multiple times. But so the first question is, what is the highest idea of my life, for example? Or you could say, what is spirit's highest idea of my life? Or, whatever, if you have a higher power, you can use that word. What is the highest idea of my life? Then the second question, and so you sit with that question and allow whatever bubbles up to come up. And then you just make note of it. Don't filter it, don't censor it, don't question it, just allow it to come through. The second question is, what must I release or let go of for this vision to fulfill itself? Again, listening for the inner wisdom. Then the next one, what must I embrace? And what must I embody? What must I become? All these are three, all these are questions. And then the final question is there anything else for me to know at this time? That way it just kind of captures everything. Notes throughout that process and listening to the inner guidance. And sometimes it's called visioning, but sometimes it's a word, sometimes it's silence, sometimes it's a scent. It can be very sensory. And so then you're just listening to the wisdom of your body, listening to that inner wisdom that's innate within each of us for the answers. And then allow that to guide the decisions. And especially where the work of that comes in isn't about trying to make the vision happen. You're not trying to manifest the vision. You're not trying to pull the vision to you. The vision is actually pulling you toward it. The way you get in alignment with that, speaking of alignment, but the way you get into alignment with that is through the work of what must I release, embrace, embody, and become. And so whenever I feel I must release fear, okay, fear of what? And then it's a deeper inquiry, right? And so it's just a deeper, and then what activities could support me in that, right? And then taking action on those activities, because taking action on those activities brings you into alignment with the vision, and then you're even closer to the vision, rather than trying to manifest the vision. That you are coming into alignment with it, and as you're clearing away the obstacles, and as you are bringing yourself into alignment with it, then the vision naturally shows up and naturally occurs, so that you're not forcing anything. So it's a beautiful way of living. It's my husband and I use it for everything. We used it for our wedding 10 years ago to, what's the highest idea of our wedding? And, you can use it for just anything, really. So.
Wow, that is gorgeous. I'm so glad that you shared that. I find that to be extremely tangible and something we can map out and really align with. I love that whole embrace, embody, become. That journey. It's another form of 3 E's.
Yeah. Well, and it's like when I think of embrace, it's like, what must I welcome into my life? Because when we have to open up to be receptive to something, because we can't even embody it if we're not receptive to it.
Yeah, and also embracing the things outside, but also embracing things within us. Exactly. Embracing the qualities within us. Really leaning into that nurturing and compassion around the parts of us that we might not love all the time, right?
That we may have disowned. It's about recalling those and embracing those again. Embracing those things that I disowned because I was going to be criticized for them, right? I was going to be rejected for them. It's about embracing that, and that's then bringing it all back to the whole self, right?
Yes, which is a beautiful segue to the last part of the other piece that we were talking about. We started talking about your story. And clearly this seems like a journey. Probably you did so much work in finding your true self again and bringing yourself to the world and having that courage after so many years of sort of disconnection and trying to fit into a mold that didn't feel good. If you could just talk briefly about that journey of reconnection, and it sounds so beautifully aligned with embrace, embody, and becoming. And was that a part of it? And how did you kind of do that while how did you finally honor that wisdom from within and get to that place with your dad that feels not perfect, or felt not perfect, but acceptable?
Yeah, it was really, really getting clear that all these things that I was carrying with me, the walls that I had used for protection, had become walls of imprisonment. And so it was really coming to that place of deep listening of what is the highest idea for my relationship with my father? What do I need to release? It's not about him, right? What did I need to release? What did I need to embrace? What did I need to do? What work did I need to do in order to have a relationship with him? And that's really where it came to a head. That's really where it shifted for me. It was like, okay, I need to offer love. I need to be the power and the presence of love for myself first. Not expecting it to come from anywhere outside of me. I need to be the power and the presence of love for myself first. I need to belong to me first. I need to recognize that I am whole, perfect, and complete as I am first. And then I was able to extend the same grace to him. That's when I realized, I say, okay, how old was he when all this happened? He wasn't even 30. He was mid-20s when all of this went down for me. And I'm like, when I thought of myself in my mid-20s, I'm like, okay, I recognize I was more mature for my age, but it's like, but I'm like, damn, how long are you going to be mad at this 25-year-old?
What a beautiful thing to say. Right. Yeah.
how long am I going to continue to hold this against the 30-year-old who said this? How long am I going to? It's not hurting him, it's hurting me. And it is damaging our relationship. So when I was able to make that shift and listen to that inner wisdom and say, okay, you know what? We got to do this. And so I was, at the end of his life, he had frontal temporal lobe disorder, which is similar to ALS. He lost his ability to speak, and it also has a little mental dementia kind of piece to it. And so I was just able to go and sit with him. Just sit with him. And, you know, I knew that he really appreciated the Lord's Prayer. So I just prayed that in his ear. You know, my sister and I visited him when he was in the home, fed him, took care of him, nurtured him, just sat in his presence and just loved. So I get to revisit all this. You know, it comes up, you know, every once in a while when I'm feeling criticized or rejected, that's it comes up. And I was like, okay, wait, let's just take a step.
Wow. I'm so sorry. Do you hear that loud sound that's happening outside my door?
No.
I apologize. Okay. That is so extraordinary and gorgeous. And that takes a lot. Like, I love so much that you put yourself in his shoes and remember that how old he was, and you have such deep compassion and empathy, like high emotional intelligence. You are extraordinary. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing to remind people about, is like when we are in that state of you know, fear or trauma or trapped, we can't get beyond what happened to us, and we stay in that mode of constant like reliving, to pause and look at the players that right, look at the people that were involved, whether it's our parents or friends or whoever it was, and put it in perspective like you did so beautifully, because that can really shift how we see our experience, and then allow us to come to like a calm state in our body, to be able to see through the lens that you just so beautifully articulated.
Yeah. And it's not about forgetting, and it's not about absolving. Exactly. It's not about absolving, you know, of any traumas that may have occurred. But it's really about getting to know ourselves from the inside out. And that's where the deep healing work is, that then allows for transformation to happen.
I mean, did you just like script that out? That was gorgeous, because it's a beautiful way to end our time together. What a gorgeous invitation for people. What an example you are, and the journey that you've gone on and where you've come. It's really quite extraordinary.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
I'm so grateful that we had this conversation. I feel like you offered so much beautiful insight and opportunity, and tangible approaches through the conversation of your story, which I know is not easy to talk about all the time. So I really appreciate you for that.
Sure. Thank you. It's about talking from the scar, not the wound. So.
Absolutely. If you are listening and want to hear more of Jeff, definitely go to your socials. Where can people find you?
So people can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Jeff Ryan Coaching. And you can also find me on my website, jeffryancoaching.com.
Beautiful. Amazing. And this book is going to be coming out, right? Early September?
September 9th.
September 9th.
Pre-order it now on Amazon. So.
Exactly. And I'm going to put all of that in the show notes so people have that information. Thank you. I have loved having you here with me, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Hold on. Let's see here.